Okay, hello everybody. This is another advanced phrasal verbs lesson. So we've got lots to go through today. We're going through chapters 21 to 25 of the Advanced Phrasal Verbs book from Cambridge University Press, written by Felicity Odell and Michael someone, can't remember. But please, you'll find these books online very easily. It's just called Advanced Phrasal Verbs Cambridge. So if you want exercises for all of these phrasal verbs, find them in that book. Please buy that book. It's an excellent book. So, with no further ado, spring up and sprout up. This is a phrasal verb which means suddenly appear. And of course, this is literally, we use this for example, mushrooms. At a certain time of year, mushrooms will spring up or sprout up because the spores have developed into mushrooms. So it just means appear out of the ground. But we can also use these metaphorically for buildings, for example. You might say several new cafes have sprung up in the centre of town, or some new leisure facilities are sprouting up all around the city. So you can use it metaphorically or really for real growing things in the garden. Weeds sprout up, mushrooms sprout up. Fruit and vegetables can sprout up as well. Okay, wind up can be used in two different ways, I've decided. It can sometimes be used in the sense of finish up in, end up in, land up in, which just means in the end you finish in this situation. So you could say something like, last night at 11 o'clock I wound up in this really seedy bar, for example. It's not true for me, but it means then you finished there, you ended there, you landed up in a really seedy bar. But you can also say wind up meaning to end something, like the lesson. So it's not just wind up in, it's also wind up, and here it's very similar to wrap up. I could say let's wind up the lesson with a test, or I could say let's wrap up the lesson with a test, meaning let's finish the lesson with a test. Or I could say he wrapped up the meeting at 6 o'clock. He wound up the meeting at 6 o'clock. So it can be used in both ways, this wind up. It can be used like wrap up, or it can also be used like finish up in, wind up in, end up in, land up in. Okay, finish with something. Very simple one, this. You can finish with an object. You might say to your friend, have you finished with the newspaper? If you have, can you pass it to me? I'd like to read it. But you can say to your, maybe you're in the kitchen, you might say to your wife, have you finished with the bread knife? I need to use it to cut some bread. So you can finish with anything. You can say, have you finished with the scissors? Have you finished with the glue? Anything you like. So it's a very common one to use in the classroom, certainly. If you're sharing an object, you might say, have you finished with that? I would like to use it. Can you please pass it to me? Okay, different things can open up, possibilities and opportunities. So you might say several opportunities have opened up in this particular market. Or you might say this has opened up the possibility of a new cafe in the centre of town. Yeah, perhaps some land has become available. You might say this has opened up the possibility of a new business, a new cafe. So open up is for possibilities and opportunities, and it means that they have been revealed or discovered, or there's now a chance for us to exploit these possibilities and opportunities. Now the next one, start on at someone about something. This is the one which you must remember, because so many other verbs you can use instead of start. If you start on at someone about something, you start complaining or nagging about something. And you complain to that person about something. And it's very similar to keep on at someone about something, go on at someone about something, bang on at someone about something, rabbit on at someone about something, waffle on at someone about something, ramble on at someone about something. There are so many, I couldn't possibly mention them all. So that one's really important. I've put a star next to it to say learn that phrasal verb and learn many others at the same time as well, because there are literally at least 10, maybe even 20 different verbs you could use there. Okay, if we're talking about financial the financial markets, you might say that the price of gold has bottomed out. That would mean that it's hit its bottom. It's got as low as it's going to go, and now it's going to remain there maybe for a few weeks, but then it might take off again. Then it might skyrocket, who knows. But when the price bottoms out, or the market bottoms out, it hits the lowest point and stays there for some time. It's different from level off, but I wanted to remind you about level off just because it's also related to markets and to finance. If the price of gold levels off, it remains stable. It remains at the same amount, at the same price for a number of weeks, for example. That's when the price levels off. It remains the same for a long time. But if the price bottoms out, it hits the bottom. It gets as low as it possibly can go. Now, if something peters out, then it gradually disappears. I read this recently in a book where somebody's footprints gradually petered out as there was somebody following these footprints, and they noticed that they gradually disappeared over time. Perhaps the weather had eroded, had whittled away at the marks so that there were no marks left. So this peter out is quite common, and it means gradually disappear, especially used for marks on the ground, but it could even be sounds. You could say his voice petered out, in which case it's very similar to trailed off. Where's trail off? I think I've written it down here. In fact, this one is better for sounds. This whole chapter was about sounds, and if somebody's voice trails off, it gets quieter and quieter and then disappears. But yeah, footprints can peter out and various other things, and it means gradually disappear. Resources can dry up. This means that you have no resources left. So if your oil reserves dry up, you have no oil left. If your money dries up, funding can dry up for a particular project. That means there's no funding left, there's no money left. So dry up also means to have nothing left of something, a bit like run out of and be out of, because you can also say we've run out of money, yeah, we've run out of funding, we are out of funding. So funding can dry up, or you can be out of funding, you've got no money left. Okay, if you whittle away at something, this is like erode, and so it's very similar to eat away at, which has the same prepositions, notice. Eat away at, chip away at. We've done these in other lessons, and when you whittle away at something, you make it smaller and smaller and smaller until it disappears. But you can whittle away at your finances, you can whittle away at your money, meaning spend it and spend it and spend it until finally, unfortunately, it has all disappeared. It has all been chipped away and there's nothing left. Now, if someone magics something away, they make it disappear. As you might guess, it means that you make something completely disappear. You magic it away. It can be used, it's used metaphorically, obviously, because magic isn't real. And people do magic away various things. I'm trying to think of a good noun here, which you might say he magicked it away. So there may be, perhaps, I can't think of a good example for magic away. I'll come back to that one perhaps by the end and try and think of another noun which you can magic away. But it means to make something disappear as if by magic. Okay, if you press on, you march on, you soldier on, you push on, and it means continue in spite of difficulty. It means continue and try to get to the end of something. So a teacher could certainly say, right, we've only got 10 minutes left, let's press on so that we finish this chapter. And I've already said run out of and be out of. You should all be aware it's when you have nothing left of something. So you can say we've run out of time, we've run out of money, I've run out of patience. And you can also say we are out of sugar, we are out of biscuits, we are out of tea, we are out of coffee. Okay, up is quite often used with violence, as many prepositions are, not just up. But if violence flares up, then it means violence suddenly erupts. Violence suddenly breaks out. Very similar to break out, because you can say fighting has broken out, conflict has broken out, fire has broken out as well, or an epidemic has broken out, an outbreak of something, right? So flare-ups pretty similar. You can say that conflict, it's usually used for violence though. Conflict or violence or war has flared up in the Middle East.